Welcome to On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people. So I'm very excited for this episode. We talked to Liam Harrison, who is one of the most famous Muay Thai fighters in the world. We talk about his early career and his progression in the sport, especially as a career and as a brand. He has a lot of insight into how he made it and how he really developed things. So without further ado, the interview with Liam Harrison. So thank you so much, Liam, for being on the show today. I really appreciate you taking your time out. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. Obviously, it's been a crazy time for everyone at the minute, not just fighters. It's been a bit of a struggle trying to prep yourself for fights and stuff when there's always the chance that they aren't going to come off, which has happened to me, I think, 4 times now. I think I've trained for 4 fights since I started this and not one of them's happened. So that's been a bit of a struggle, but I've been lucky enough to keep myself busy with other things, my website, my clothing brand, YouTube channel, etc. So I've managed to keep myself busy, and it's now looking like there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So some fights are starting to come to progression now, and it looks like things are opening back up in the UK, and got a lot of shows and a lot of things to look forward to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of the things that have been keeping you busy are definitely things I want to touch on today, because I feel like you have been very successful segueing your fight career into an actual career, which not so many fighters have done. But, why don't we start at the beginning? Because I think your time in Thailand really shaped your career overall. So why did you spend your time in Thailand? How long were you out here? And how do you think it shaped your later career?
Well, the first time I went, it was just for like a short trip, 3 weeks, just to train. I didn't plan on fighting or anything like that. I was only about 16 or 17 the first time I went. That was the first time I got taste of training with the Thais and stuff like that. It wasn't until I was 18 when I fought a Thai champion. I'd fought a couple of Thais with decent fighters, but they weren't elite level. When I was 18, I fought a Thai called Duao Kongudom, and his fight before me, he beat Anawat. I just thought, I'd won 29 pro fights in a row, and I just thought, you know what, it won't be a problem. Round 2, I knocked him down, and then he got up and he beat me within an inch of my life. I mean, he battered me over. And it was just a complete shock to the system. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to fight with these guys, there's something that needs to change drastically here, because I won't have a chance. So that fight, I remember the date, it was 28th of November. By the 1st of December, I'd booked a flight and I'd gone to Thailand, and I stayed there for 2 years. What I did was I stayed for 6 months, came home for a month just to rest my body. 6 months, came home for a month to rest my body. 6 months, and then another 6 months. I was there for 2 years overall. I probably fought there about 15 times or 16 times over 2 years. Fought in Lumpini Raja. I fought on some of the big midweek shows, and I fought top 10 ranked fighters on some big televised shows. I built up a decent rep for myself. I think out of 16 fights, I think I won 12 or 13 and lost 3 or 4. I made a good rep for myself out there. So that was from being 19 to 21. And I think that way we're a massive part of my career doing that. I think although obviously building your way up in Thailand, I wasn't making massive money and stuff like that. Just the experiences I got as a fighter and life experience. I got to live in the gym with the Thais, train how they do, fight in the big stadiums. I fought with some of the best fighters out there. I got to travel around fighting on different TV shows and around all the different provinces and stuff like that. I fought if I needed a bit of extra money, I flew off and fought to Samui or Phuket. I won at Islands. So I flying around everywhere and fighting everywhere. And it was just those experiences, they're invaluable. There's not a lot of fighters who do that anymore. For Thailand now, they'll live there and stuff. When I was doing it, this you're talking 15 years ago now, so there weren't many doing it when I was doing it, but there are quite a lot of good level foreign fighters now who just live in Thailand. Especially all the Brazilians at the minute, they're doing there's a lot of fighters out there doing that now, and I think it's great for the sport and great for a fighter just to get that experience. It's not like over here where you've got to wait to fight. If you fight out there and you knock someone out in first round, you can fight again a few days later. You can always. There's different shows going on everywhere, different styles of fighters, and the experience is massively invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you mentioned being able to fight very often. One of my favorite stories that you had was you mentioned once. I think you put a big bet on yourself, and then you lost, and
Lost,
then you
yeah.
were like, "Oh fuck, I gotta pay rent. I gotta pay my gym dues." So you flew down to Phuket. Your leg was battered, and you just fought.
Yeah.
That's a very good life experience. You know, just having to the gambling, the fighting, like everything is very valuable, I think.
Yeah, but I learnt my lesson the hard way with that one because I put a few bets on myself and I'd won the fights, but on like for this one, I was so sure I was going to win. And the guy was ranked top 10, and I'd have probably gone top 10 in Rajanamnern if I'd have won, which would have been massive for me and massive for my career. And I just lost it. One judge gave it to me and the other two gave it to him. It was just a really close fight. Obviously, I bet on myself and I got no money left. And it were either go home or stay there, or ring my mum begging for some money, which I didn't want to do, or like go home or just like go fight. And Jitty had bet on me, all the other Thai trainers had bet on me. They were all disappointed. Didn't have no money. And then he just said, I'll ring the promoter in Phuket and go down fight. You might get 15,000 baht or something, which was enough to pay like 2 months rent. Because by this time, a year into it, I got sick of like sleeping on the mattress in the gym and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
It just got too much. Because by this time, I was living in a little apartment next to the gym, so I had to pay my rent and stuff like that. But yeah, I learned the hard way on that one.
Yeah. So you were 21 when you went back to England. Do you feel like just being out there after your time in Thailand, it shaped your career in terms of sort of how you built your name and because I feel like you definitely developed a career, and you've had a bit of a trajectory.
Yeah, I think it definitely did because whilst I was out living in Thailand, there were a few times where I flew off to fight in Japan as well. So I was getting known not just in Thailand, I was getting around known in other places. I think I fought in Japan by the time I was 23 or 24. I'd fought in Japan 5 times and won them all. Won all the fights. Oh no, 4 times. Sorry, I'd fought there 4 times, won all 4, and 3 by knockouts. I'd made a good name for myself in Japan. I'd made a decent name for myself in Thailand. All the promoters knew me. A lot of like the decent gyms all knew me. And then when I came home, then I started to build my name up more around Europe. I mean, I'd fought a few of the decent Europeans, but then around like 23, 24, after I just beat Anawat, then I started fighting like some of the top level Europeans as well. So then I was like known around Europe. The Thais knew obviously I'd beat Anawat. I'd lived there for a while. And then a lot of the best Europeans started coming in to fight me. And I got wins like over like Kulbin and Medizatu and Hussein Banu. I went through my career, they were some of like the best ones. Don't get me wrong, I've fought ones like Fabio Pinker and I lost that fight as well because he's probably not the best European, but he's one of the best fighters I've ever fought, including the Thais. He's a great fighter. But yeah, I think I did it right by really going to gain the experience. And although there wasn't much social media when I was living in Thailand and stuff like that, I would come across so many different styles. Like I fought Jabbar Askarov when I was living in Thailand. Really European style. He would just try to rip my head off. Even stuff like that prepared me for what I was doing when I came back to the UK to fight everyone. I was getting sent out to fight around Italy, and then I fought in France and other places. So like that mixed with what I did in Thailand, and I was getting a name built up everywhere. Obviously, and so I had a good name in Asia, good name in Europe. And then what were happening was they were flying all the Thai champions in to fight me in England, and there weren't many fighters at the time. Not like now. We've got a lot of good English fighters now who can mix it with only me and a few others. So I were always the one who were fighting the Thais and who were bringing them to England to fight me and stuff. So it all just worked perfectly for me, I think, and it made me a good name worldwide.
And when you had more of your career in England, you had to sell tickets, correct? What was that experience like? Because out here in Thailand, you just go and fight. Yeah,
obviously. Well, in England, promoters will too. You can be the best fighter in the country. If you're only selling 10 tickets, a promoter ain't going to touch you. I was lucky. I've always had like a lot of friends and family who supported me from the off. So I've always been a decent ticket seller. As I started to get more known, and because my style is a fan-friendly style, I always look to KO. I always fight hard. A lot of the times it ends up being a bit of a dogfight and a war. I was lucky, so more people started latching on. So even my first like pro fight in England when I was like 14, I still managed to sell like 30 tickets.
Oh, that's good.
For a first timer, I think the promoter might have thought, you know what, 30 tickets. I only got paid about, I think I got paid £30 or £40. Or 14, and probably for 30 tickets. He's made quite a bit of money there. And then I knocked him out in the first round. So I think that promoter, which was Master Sken, I fought on every one of his shows from being 14 to 18 or 19 when I went to live in Thailand. I didn't miss a show, and he had 2 or 3 a year. So I was getting my name built up to it with the same crowds. And then every time I was selling more and more tickets, and it was getting to the point where I was easily selling over 100. And then it wasn't just my friends, then a lot of other people, because I'd had quite a few knockouts on that show. They were like, "Oh, Liam Harrison's fighting, we'll go," and that sort of built up like that. I will look. When I went to live in Thailand, I still kept the good fan base and stuff when I came back, and I still managed to sell the tickets as well, which it's much important. You need to be able to, especially now with social media and stuff. I think it's a lot easier than it was back then, because obviously you can promote yourself. You can put clips of you knocking someone out, or you can put a clip of you having a crazy war where people think, "Oh my God, watch this guy, he looks excited." Back then, with no Instagram and Facebook and all that, it was just word of mouth. Like I say, I was lucky. I've always been like, I've had a good fan base from Leeds football supporters, Leeds boxing supporters, people like Josh Warrington, Leeds Thai boxing supporters for like us in the Bad Company Gym. They are the best. They all stand, no matter what the sport. They will go support like them. If they've got someone doing well, they'll go support it. So I've been lucky, really. But yeah, like fighters today, they've got it's easy for them to push it on Instagram and sell tickets, promote themselves like that. But it would, like I say, it was tougher back then.
Yeah. So one of the things you sort of talked about is how it's easier for fighters to market themselves. But do you feel like a lot of them are marketing themselves well? And like, how do you think you're marketing yourself differently from other fighters?
I've got the experience. I've done most of the stuff that these guys are going to be wanting to do already. I mean, I've got all the Thai experience. I've fought the best fighters on the planet. I've fought all the best Europeans. I've literally fought the best fighters of this generation. I fought every single one of them. Some I've lost, a few I've won. Do you know what I mean? So, but either way, we have had an exciting fight or a war, and I can always just push. I just do a few clips on my Instagram, which still help boost mine. I see fighters doing it these days, but they've got to build up to that level. But some of them I look at and I think, you know what, that's really good content, and others, I want to like slide into their inbox and go, "You're doing this wrong. You need to do this, this, and this." But what works for me might not work for someone else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, just like putting a few. I do it like weekly. I always keep my Instagram always with content on. Just a clips of an old fight, clips of a knockout, or just a clip of a technique, or just something a little bit different each time, just to keep people interested and stuff like that. I see some pages on Instagram that are really, really good, and I see some that I can see they're trying, but they're just not there yet. Like I say, I've already got the clips and the experience and all the fights to just make it. It's easy for me to do this because I've got all the fights there. I've done it. For some on the way up trying to do it, it's going to be a bit tougher until they get a little bit more experience and a few more fights. But as long as they keep building it the right way, social media is an amazing platform for a fighter to have.
One of the things you said earlier was, you had the strong base in Leeds, and then you were basically out here in Thailand for 2 years, 6 months on, 1 month off. How were you able to bring the fans from the UK to Thailand, and were they watching your fights, or was it just like, the few blogs and stuff and sort of the word of mouth? How did you retain that fan base?
There was a forum called Axe Kickboxing.
Oh, right.
And I just sent all my friends and my family who wanted to know about my fights to that forum. I'd always have someone film it on like a digicam, beside the ring, and they'd film the fight, like just so I could send it home to my dad so he could watch it. But that's about as much as it got. And then you could like upload videos on there, but this was like fucking. It took about 3 days to upload a video. But yeah, you could upload the fight on there, and people could watch it on there. But just telling all my friends to go on Axe Kickboxing, you can like follow what's going on and stuff like that. So that's what it was, like just a forum. I suppose it was like Facebook is nowadays. You've got lots of different pages you can follow on Facebook or Insta. That was just a forum for Muay Thai and kickboxing.
Yeah, I remember it, of course. I wasn't too active on it, but Rob, of course, was
Yeah,
on it all the time. There were some pretty notable people on there at the time. It was a real hub for the sport.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But what seems to start happening all the time, where everyone were making fake profiles, just trolling everybody. What else turned into just people making fake profiles? It was funny though. There were a few good arguments on there.
Yeah, I mean, those sort of things happen, and I do feel like just the way things are, the attention shifted, from the forums to blogs to Facebook, and now I definitely feel Instagram is where a lot of the attention is. What would you agree with that? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, massively. I think most of my business comes from Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's my website, whether it's my clothing brands, whether it's my seminars.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it all on there massively.
Mm-hmm.
Their page are the two main things, and especially when there's stuff like you can do paid advertisement and stuff like that. I get people paying me to advertise on my page for them and stuff.
Right.
As long as you can build it up to a good base like that, there's always going to be a source of income coming from social media. That is, it's huge. Like I say, for a fighter, it can be an amazing tool.
Yeah. That's definitely something I want to talk about because you do have the clothing line, you have your podcast, you also have you're sponsored. It's a male grooming kit, right? That sponsors you. I forget what it's called, but like I know, like
Manscaped.
Manscaped. You guys are always joking about it on the podcast, and it's funny.
But to be fair, because he specialises in below the belt grooming, you have to joke about it really, but it's true what we're actually saying about it, if you know what I mean. But that's a really good sponsor because they sponsor the UFC, they sponsor Kanu, they sponsor all top level guys like that. So decent sponsor to have on board, especially for our podcast when we'd only just started it out. And the podcast itself, that's just going to be something that's slowly in the background. I'll do one every now and then just to keep it running. That's going to be there for more when I retire and I've got more. But like we started it in lockdown and we somehow got sponsored by Manscaped straight away, which is pretty decent to be fair.
Yeah, I'm very happy for you. It's not on a consistent basis, but the quality is generally good. I listen to it all the time. I like it. You guys are pretty up to date with your news and your discussion, so it's good. But since you're not as focused on that, what are you focused on? Are you more focused on your clothing line or the training site? And why have you decided to do both of those?
Well, the clothing line, me and my friend run that. My friend Clint, he's an actor. So we both, the clothing again is just going to be something that we slowly just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Mm-hmm. And when we're a bit of extra time into it, I think we've already got an agent for that who reckons he can push it onto the high street or onto ASOS already. But I've said I don't want to rush that because obviously I'm a fighter and my time is going to be spent over the next few years on fighting. Mm-hmm. And someone goes up the high street and then I suddenly need to call into a business meeting or something like that. But I can't leave fight camp to go off to London or something like that. He said he reckons he can push it onto it there now. But I said, let's leave it a bit longer. I said, when we're ready, I said, let's keep building it and keep building the page on the Instagram. We only started it like 6 months ago or something. He's got now nearly 10,000 followers on there and stuff. Build a steady income. But when the time's right, when I retire or maybe when I've got a bit of extra time to myself and I'm on set, he's always on set acting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Right, we will really push that forward and put a lot more of work into it. Mm. It's still going very well and I'm happy with how it's gone. But yeah, there's a lot more we can do and I've got a lot of good ideas for it in the future. But I think that again, that'll be more like when I retire, that I'm going to really push that one forward more. The website, I've literally just finished filming for that. I've been in gym all morning filming for it. There's so much stuff and so many different aspects of Muay Thai that I can just keep drip feed up into that over. So that's always going to be there for me to put in, because if I go work with a new trainer who I haven't worked before and I learn something new, I just put it straight on there. So everyone else can learn something as well, because there's so many different styles and so many different things that I still see every day. If I go train with someone new and I think, wow, how have I not known that? I've been training for 22 years, but I still learn every day myself. Whenever I learn something new, I've just got it straight to put on there. I've got a lot of good top fighters in my gym around me as well, who I always put them on there and put their because I'm not as arrogant to think that my style and how I fight and stuff. There's a lot of people in my gym who can do stuff a lot better than me, so I may as well get them to teach that and put that on the website because there's no point that I'm not that good at when I've got someone in my gym like Jordan Watson who can do it a lot better than me.
Right.
But that's always going to be like a front runner. That's probably it is my main source of income, and I want all my members. I've got a lot of members on there, and I want to keep it all up to date, and I want to always give them something fresh to work with. I've been getting messages recently that are absolutely amazing, like saying, "Oh mate, I used this technique in my fight, and it won me the fight. It's one of my got off your website. I put one up on my Instagram, on my story last night." And when you get messages like that, I'm proper buzzing about it.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I think you have on there is you have Vinny Shorman also doing some like anchoring and mind coaching technique, which is definitely different. A lot of it's very technical, which is good. It's pretty easy to understand technical tips. What sort of other things are you going to explore?
I've got 2 different SNC workouts, strength and conditioning ones. I've got one for more for strength and one for like explosive power, because people say to me all the time, "Oh, you're very explosive, you're very strong and fast. Where does that come from?" And I've put my exact SNC workout or that I do on there just to help with my explosive power. That's on there. I've just literally filmed a new thing today, just about ring craft and controlling the like that. I only filmed the first part today. I'm just going to keep building because there's so much you can just add to it every single month. Obviously, there's the anchoring with Vinny Shorman, and on there, there's just like different sort of like not just techniques, it's fitness stuff as well, like conditioning to a fighter. I've got like a few drills that I do with big weighted plates. I put like a clip of it on my Instagram before.
Yeah, for like knees and stuff, right?
Yeah,
so
strengthen your arms up a bit and stuff like that. I try and put like literally every aspect of everything I've ever done in any training, whether I even still do it or not, or whether I've worked on it in Thailand and I do it, or whether it's a technique that I used to use before but I don't use that much now, because everything, as you get older, your style changes a bit. I got like now I did like 15 years ago, but a lot of the stuff I did 15 years ago still works. So there's literally everything on there that I have ever amassed from Thailand, from my strength and conditioning coaches. I'm even considering putting a nutrition part on there, just because obviously the older I've got, I've realised how to make weight better and stuff like that. I'm even considering putting that on there next. But yeah, there's like lots of different avenues I can explore.
And just in terms of the infrastructure of it, was it hard for you to get it started? Because, in terms of the sort of digital landscape, I feel like there's not that many, legit Muay Thai fighters doing this sort of content. How did you come up with the idea? Like, what, why did you start doing it?
So my seminars had been really, really busy for like years before this, probably about 3 or 4 years. They were absolutely flying. I was doing them every other week or flying around Europe. I'd done a few in America. And someone just said to me in America, "Wow, that were amazing, but I forgot it all already." He said, "Can I go to your website to refresh?" I went, "Oh, I don't have one." And then while I was in America, there were so many people after the seminars all said the same thing. And I thought, "Oh, I'll look into this." I got back home, started doing more seminars. It had gone out of my head again. And then I did one south of England, and some guy came up to me and said the exact same. He said, "Mate, don't take offence. I've turned up hungover today." He said, "I went out for a friend's birthday last night." He said, "I can't remember most of that." He said, do you have a website that I can go refresh it all on?" And I went, "No, a website?" I went, "No." "What are you doing?" He went, "There's my card." He said, "I'm a videographer, a photographer, and a web designer, which is all things I need in one. Plus, he loves Thai boxing." So I took his card and I went out for a beer with my mate and I pulled it out and I said, "Oh, what do you think it's to this idea?" And my mate went, "Do it now." He said, "Ring him now." He said, that will be the best thing you ever do in your life. And I was thinking, well, people sign up to this. And then my missus said, "Well, look how many people come to your seminars. Look how well your seminars are doing. Everyone wants you back. Everyone's enjoying that." And I said, "Yeah, but no one's done it before." I said, I don't know any one fighter who'd done it at the time. I think there were Tiger Muay Thai had something similar, but they're not in a fight. That's a gym. So I was just thinking, what if it just bombs? And she went, "Well, if no one's doing it before, do it, steal the market, get there first."
Yeah.
I went, all right. So I rang the guy. He drove to Leeds 2 days later. We sat down. We had some food. And then he came up to Leeds. We filmed for 3 days straight. And having the camera in front of my face for 3 days at first, I fucking hated it. I've always been like good at talking at seminars and been good at talking to people, but just talking into a camera. And by day 3, I'd filmed so many videos.
Yeah.
I think I filmed 250 videos in 3 days or so. And my brain was just burnt out and I was getting all my words stumbled up and all sorts. But then when he showed me the website, I was so happy with it. And Mark's a perfectionist who runs my website for me as well. And he's very, very good at what he does. Mm-hmm. And then like 6 months to a year down the line, he went, let's update it. He said, let's make it look a bit funkier. Let's make it look a bit better, which we did. And then we updated it again and said, right, let's get it more mobile friendly, which we did. And then we said, right, let's bring an app out, which we've just paid for the Android and the iPhone thing today. That's come out today, so that's coming soon. The app won't look as funky as the website does and stuff like that. It's going to have to be a little bit more basic just so it's easy to use for people. Yeah. But it's still coming and it's still going to be there.
I think the app is really going to help people. I've watched, a few videos on my computer, but I'm not going to have my computer when I'm at the gym. I will have my phone. So I can be like, I have 15 minutes, let's look at one of the drills that Liam does. Okay, I just do this.
Well, I get so many messages of people who run gyms who just say, mate, whenever I can't think of a lesson, I just look on your website, write a few things down, and I've got a lesson plan for a week then. Someone's got the app, they can just, even if they're getting the fighters warming up, then they can't think of it. Just a quick tap, right, that's my lesson, I can go, So, that's another thing that I might even add into it. Might start an instructors only section where I just put out for them week by week, and it might be a monthly thing where you can just plan 1 week will be this, next week will be this, next week will be this, how it all follow on, all linked together and stuff like that. That's another thing I could play around with as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's a good idea because, a lot of instructors don't have the same level of experience as you. Even me, I have 30 fights, which for an American is a lot of fights, but it's really not that many, but it sort of, explains the experience gap. And, a lot of instructors need that experience somehow. So,
Yeah, it's good. I think I've inspired a lot of other people to start doing it because there was just me on my own doing it for about 2 years. And I just remember whenever I would post on an Instagram promoting it, I never saw it. Now I'm seeing it everywhere now. Yeah. Other fighters from England trying to do it. There's seen the Evolve guys with Nongo and Sam are all doing it. And when all this started, that just gave me another kick up the arse to, I think, up my level on my... I rang my guy, I said, right, mate, everyone's I said, listen, we need to up the game. He went, right, let's make the website look better. Let's make it more mobile friendly. Let's do this, let's do that. And it a bit of a kick up the arse as well. And I think my website looks, compared to some of the others that I've seen, I don't want to sound like blowing me on horn or all, but compared to some of the others, I think the way mine's set out, how it looks and how it works, I think it's like a level above most of them.
As always, if you'd like to follow me, you can do so on Instagram, Matt Lucas Muay Thai. I always respond to messages there. I also have the website, matt-lucas.com, or email me at a.matt.lucas@gmail.com. Thanks to all the people that have supported me so far, sharing the podcast, leaving reviews. If you'd like to leave a review, that would be super helpful. You can do so on the iTunes store. After years of hard work, studying, and being in the game, I published I'm Fighting in Thailand, a guide to the sport in the motherland. Is a Muay Thai encyclopedia. It goes over scoring, matchmaking, picking gym, fight styles, gambling, Muay Thai culture, and more. It contains a series of interviews with long-term expat fighters, including Michael Savas, Willie Whipple, Lisa Brealey, Angela Chang, and others. It is a great guide, educates, and helps guide careers by helping save fighters from costly mistakes. It is a definitive guide and is available on Amazon as an ebook and in print. So go check it out. I'm Fighting in Thailand, a guide to the sport in the motherland.
But it's good to see other fighters doing it as well, and especially if they can earn a bit of a living from it for when they retire. Especially like the guys like Sammy and Nongo. I hope it does really well for them guys because obviously from the careers those guys have had, they deserve to to make a lot of money from it and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's two things. One is your website is good. Like the user layout is pretty good. It's, I paid, it was real smooth. So, I definitely recommend it to people. The other thing is like with Sam A and Nong O, like I feel like, part of the seminar experience and the learning experience is personality.
Yeah.
So, one of the reasons why I assume you've done so well with your seminars is you have a good personality.
You have to put that across when you teach. And like a lot of the Thais who have great coaches, if you just put them in front of 50 Americans or 50 English, there's always going to be that language barrier and that bit, but they can't just maybe explain that little bit extra bit of technique that needs to make the technique work. So say if I'm saying, like, let me do a long guard, if they can't explain or use the words properly, how to just maybe put your hand from there to there and then it don't quite come out properly, people are going to get a bit lost. And like you say, personality is massive. I like to try and make a bit of a joke and stuff when I'm training. I like to make people laugh. I like to make them think they've had not just learned a lot, but just had a good day out and a good afternoon and laugh, learn some stuff and stuff like that. Like you say, personality is massive. And I'm luckily that I've made myself into a likable character over the years, and people have like warmed to me.
Yeah. Let's I definitely think it's helped with your seminar circuit. What is it like doing the seminar circuit? Because you've just been on a massive run. You were in the UAE over at Jason Woodham's place, and then all over Florida and around the States. What is doing the seminar circuit like?
It's good, but it's very tough. Excuse me. Dubai was amazing because we only had 4 seminars. I was doing a few PTs. I was training twice a day, and I was just really enjoying it because it was really relaxed. Cool gym, cool people. I loved training at Muay Thai Muppets with Jason and those boys. It were really good. But then my knee ballooned up with fluid on it, and I'm thinking, oh shit! I thought if my knee goes here and I've got to fly to America, I'm going to lose so much money because I think we had like 18 seminars in 20 days or something, and we were getting paid for. I thought, right, I need to stop training. I went to a doctor. He drained the fluid off my knee, and then I was a bit worried about, what if it comes back now, and I can't find another doctor, so I had to stop the training a little bit then, which I was gutted about. We flew from Dubai to Boston, which was 15 hours. Then we had 3 hours in Boston airport, then flew from Boston to Florida, which was another 3 hours. And then we also had an 8-hour time difference compared to what we were on. I had 1 day off, and then our tour in America started. So me and Andy, my cousin Andy Howson, we had 1 day off or 1.5 days off, and then we had to get straight into it, and we just didn't know what planet we were on at the start. And honestly, I was walking around like a zombie, literally having like triple espressos before seminar started, so we could get herself going in that. But once we got into it, we were absolutely fine. Andy's also a very good coach. He's got a lot of experience himself. He trains a lot of top-level fighters, not just in Muay Thai and MMA and stuff as well. So me and him, especially because we're cousins and family, we bounce off each other. So when we were doing that tour, I think a lot of people enjoyed it just for how everyone said, like, oh, you got such good chemistry together. How have you got that good chemistry? I said, I've known him for fucking 35 years. And because I said, I think we should have chemistry together. But obviously, he's got a different teaching style to me, similar but a bit different, and we work when we're teaching like that. But once we got into Florida, I think we had like 6 seminars in 6 days in like Tampa, Orlando, in Miami, in Kissimmee, and somewhere else, and we were just all over. And then we had like 1 day where we went to a WWE wrestler's house, Aleister Black. We went to his house and trained him and his wife. We had one guy who just rang it. Well, his PA messaged me out of the blue and said, "Can you come to my own private training facility?" Some guy called Nick, and I was like, oh, I ain't got time. I said, we're doing a seminar every single day. Yeah. So I told his PA, I said, listen, I ain't got time. I said, maybe this time. Obviously, I didn't know who he was. I want a proper gym, which is his own private facility. And I said, I can't do it this time. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him maybe get in touch next time a bit earlier. So she messaged back and said, no, he wants you there. I said, I've just said I'm too busy. She said, he'll give you $10,000 for 3 hours. I went, right. I said, I'll see you. But honestly, me and Andy went, and he had this training facility like I've never seen before in my life. I don't know if you saw it on my story on Instagram. Yeah. Walked in, he had like 8 like super muscle cars, Mustangs, Dodges, Camaros, unbelievable, all in mint condition. He had a big Yokkao ring and all the Yokkao bags. He had like a living quarters and everything. I was like, what is this place? He went, oh, this is just my my little getaway where I like to come and just, it's my dude place. I said, who trains here? He said, just me and me. I've got 3 friends who I do martial arts with. I said, just us 3. I'm like, this is the coolest place I've ever been in my life. So we just stayed there with those 4 guys, and then we did 3 hours with them, and they paid us 10 grand. It was unbelievable, and the guy was such a nice guy as well. He wasn't like smug or anything. Like he had he got his own private jet, and he's talking about flying to England to train with a bad company and stuff. So when you're out there in these places, although it's very tiring, like in America, like we're bang, 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 bang. Yeah. We're making good contacts, obviously. Like we're in a WWE wrestler's house. When he posted that on his page, I had people like Randy Orton and people are commenting on it, which is huge. You know what I mean? If you can like make these contacts like that, and then obviously that Nick, that were amazing getting to work with him like that and stuff. I made a lot of good contacts, and then although it were hard bouncing around, literally every gym we went to, they all said, right, when can we book you in again? Yeah. I was like, listen, give me a break. And we got like, because I were only doing that because my fight with Pongsery got cancelled. I was so dedicated. I trained so hard for that fight because I'd had 3 fights get cancelled before, but they'd all got cancelled like 4 weeks out or something. So I'd only been training for about 4 or 5 weeks. So it wasn't like, but for that fight, I'd done 12 weeks and I trained so hard. And 6 weeks out, they rang me and said, oh, like, Singapore aren't going to let you in, stop training. I thought, and 3 days later, they rang me back and said, right, we're working with government, they're going to let you in. I'm like, you sure? And they're like, yeah, we're sure. And then I blasted another 6 weeks and I got myself in really good shape. And then like just a couple of days before we were meant to get on plane, we were like, oh, well, you can't come. So that I was devastated. So I literally got straight on phone with Jay in Dubai. I said, right, so I'm coming over, can I train there with you? Yeah. So I put word out on my Instagram, coming to Dubai, who won seminars. So we got 4 of them. And then friend in Florida, I said, just tell them we're coming. I said, and then we were in Florida for 8 days and we did 6 seminars. We had 1 day off and then 1 day to travel. We got 6 seminars and he said he could have got us another 6 more easy in Florida. And then we also had 15 booked in for Texas, and I just had to, because we'd done so many, I just had to tell Texas, listen, we'll come back and just do Texas on it at the time. I said, because I'm so tired here. By the end of the last seminars, the travelling, everything, and like bringing the same energy to every seminar, like I say, I try and make it like a really good experience for everyone. Ranging mentally, and by the end of it, I couldn't even get my introduction out without stumbling my words and stuff like that. The explanations are going to mean and stuff, and my words just weren't coming out properly because I was so mentally tired. So they would have gone to Texas and done another 15.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. I mean, it's like being on the road for a band or something, you know?
Yeah, just without drugs.
Yeah. What do you think the students are getting out of the seminars? You said like it's a little bit of personality, a little bit of technique, but why do you think people go to your seminars?
Because I put the videos up of the techniques that I show working in fights for me against top level opponents. So I think it's like they can clearly see it does work. And what I always say to everyone before the seminar starts, I say, listen to me now. I said, everyone has got a different style. Some of the stuff I teach here today, you might think that will never work for me. I won't ever use it. I said, but others, you might think that is perfect. So pick something out here that resonates with your style. I said, because what works for me, every single technique that worked for me, only 1 or 2 of them might work for you, but those 1 or 2 are still going to be worth me coming because you're still going to make an improvement in your game. And I think that's what people like, because I try and make it so there's a bit of everything thrown in there, and I've got a good structure of how the seminars go bang, 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 and everything leads on to something else. And I always say to everyone, listen, if this didn't work, someone says, listen, this isn't working for me, is there what I can do? And I say, right, adapt it to this and do this and this. And you watch people have light bulb moments, if you know what I mean. They go, I wouldn't have thought of that. So it's not like I'm just teaching some generic thing that everyone has to do. I always say, put your own spin on it. And if someone, listen, Liam, I'm not quite getting it, it's not quite working for me, I say, well, try this instead then. And they'll go, wow, that were amazing. I wouldn't have ever thought of that. So there's like always, I try and like look at someone who's training and think, right, that might not work for them, but this will. So like an open mind. I know that what works is perfect for me won't for everyone else. So I try and like adapt my teaching for how that person is as a fighter, or how their build is. Like someone really short ain't going to be able to do something that's really tall. So I'll go around them. If I see someone who's really tall, struggling with something, I'll go around and say, like this ain't going to work for you. Try this instead. And when you watch them go, yeah, that's a bit of a light bulb moment for them. And you go, good feeling watching people learning and watching them just like up the game just a little bit. Even if like you learn one technique today, but that one technique you get it perfected, then it's still going to be worth me. Still adding something to your game.
Yeah. One of the things you talked about before was networking, and being able to go to Jason's place, being out there for a while, and then also having a buddy in Florida, being able to set you up with these seminars. How important has networking been for your career, and how do you go about networking yourself?
It's been massively important, and the thing is with networking, the easiest way I can say is to do that is just don't be a dick. You can't be up yourself. You need to be friendly, and you need to make friends with people. That's what it's about. And I've met so many great people in this sport, like Jay Woodham, who runs Muay Thai Uppies and stuff, that I could just say, oh mate, can I come over to your gym? And obviously, I think me having him in his gym and stuff like that, he was buzzing about it as well. I did some pads with him, and he got to pad work me, and I pad worked him and stuff like that. And it's a good buzz for them as well. And we're friends, and we've known each other a long time and stuff. And I'd like to think, like, over the years, by not being a total dickhead, you'll get some fighters who might come up and get a bit smug and too big for the boots, and people think, you know what, he's good, but he's an idiot. So they might not be as welcoming to someone like that. You know what I mean? But I've kept my feet on the ground, and I've made these friends. They're not like contacts. I've made friends, not just contacts. You know what I mean? So I have got my friends to be able to say, "Oh mate, can I come to your gym?" Or mate, would you mind doing this? And yeah, that's what it is. You got to be likable, and you need to make friends as well as the contacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. People do business with people that they like. If you're approachable, if you're nice, they're like, oh, okay, I can contact him, and he's not going to be a dick to me. Yeah,
100%. I try and get back to everyone on Instagram. Although my Instagram's insane, and I do get a lot of weird. Of some, honestly, you don't believe some of the shit that I get on there. It's outrageous. I scan through the messages. I come over your inbox. I deleted all of my messages out of it the other day. I looked 3 days later, and there was 200 messages back in there straight away.
Oh, fucking
so it's hard to keep on top of them. But I scan through some of them, and if it's someone just asking for a little bit of advice on the first fight, or a little bit of advice on something, I'll try and give them an answer just so I'm getting back to them. Obviously, I can't do it to everyone, and I don't look at every single message because, like I said, there's too many, and I'll be there all day. And Mrs. Get off your phone, you're always on your phone. Yeah. I'm saying this for business. I've been on my phone, but yeah, try and find something like that, just giving a little bit back, or if someone comments on one of my technique videos saying, "Oh, what would you do if someone did this?" And if I see that, I'll try and comment back if I've got time. But again, it's for comments and stuff like that. But if I do spot something, I will try and give it back, just so people look at you as just like one of the lads, and not just some guy who's just up himself and thinks he's too good to reply. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of the things you talked about, is how much time you spent on the phone. Obviously, you are a digital person, and I think that's a big part of why you're successful. I remember talking to you on the MRT a while ago. Oh, why, are you going to start a brick and mortar gym? But you were like, oh, fuck it. I can do all these seminars. I have the training site. What do you feel are the pros and cons of being digital?
The pros, obviously, I think they speak for themselves, right? You can advertise, you can promote yourself, as long as you've got good following, the thing is, even if you haven't got a good following, you can promote yourself with good content. That's what you need, good content. If you do have good content, the following will come with it, and then you can promote yourself, you can promote your seminars, you can promote your fights, you can promote my website, my clothing, and everything that will build off of it. The cons is just like what we said, you've always got to be checking your phone every 2 minutes, because if I wouldn't have checked my phone and I didn't see that message from that Nick, if Nick's assistant, I wouldn't have had to go make that money and meet him, who's a great guy, and have it contact now. So you do always have to keep checking, and stuff like that. And that's a bit annoying, because especially if I put a post out on Instagram, then I have to keep looking at my inbox and stuff, because that's where I should really just say, look, for
business
seminar.
inquiries.
Yeah, for seminars, etc., email, whatever. Do you know what? I'm not really good with, as you just saw when we just tried to do them. I'm not actually very good with technology. I'm just good at marketing myself on it. That's what I'm good at, marketing myself. I know how to make a decent video and I know how to produce good content. But when it comes to like doing stuff, I've got people who do stuff for me, like my YouTube channel. I don't run that. I've got my friend who knows what he's doing. He runs it for me, and any money we make off that, we split. So yeah, like obviously my website, I stay out of all that stuff. I have no idea about the technology that goes on, and on that, I make the videos and say, right, put them in this order and call them this, and he does all that stuff. But yeah, you need good content. That's one of the pros, and the cons, like I say, it's a lot of time to keep pulling your phone out your pocket, looking at every 2 minutes, just to you get a bit addicted to it. And then I think, what if I put then what if someone questions my technique, and you get mad sometimes. Well, here's me using it in a fight. What? Just behave. You don't need to reply to that. Just forget it. That's a bit annoying. And the trolling is another good. I love the trolling though. Some of it is absolutely amazing. I love it. But other than that, it's a good tool.
Yeah, there's. I remember one of the more memorable One Championship bits they did was you reading out comments from trolls. It was a good one. It was very good.
You know, because it was One Championship, I asked them as well. I said, right, how X-rated can I be with my replies here? And they went, listen, we don't want to be X-rated. You don't want to look like that. I went, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was still good though. You know, like when you're more popular, people, you know, all sorts of people come out of the woodwork. And the good and bad thing about social media is it gives everyone a platform.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So, you know, it makes a lot of people are fine with what you're doing, but like, you know, some people just get up on stage because they can get up on stage, and then they start saying whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. It's you got to take the rough with the smooth. There's going to be haters, and everyone who's been successful will have haters. And if you haven't got haters, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll wrap things up soon, but I want to ask a few more questions. Do you feel like you have a brand, and how would you define yourself or define the brand that you have?
Yeah, I probably do. But the thing is, you'll see, I don't take fights to where I think but you'll see some fighters who get to that back end of the career, like what Sanchez is doing now. He's protecting his brand. He's fighting all the time, regular still, but he's fighting anyone who's going to give him any trouble. I'm nearly 36 now. I could probably get away with now. I get asked all the time by promoters around Europe, "Oh, will you fight so and so on this show?" And I've never heard of them. And I go look at them online, and I think that'll be a bit of an easy fight. What's the point? I probably go around and still win these fights and protect my brand and build my record. But I don't want to. I'm signed to One Championship. I want to fight the best guy still, and I'll do that until. And when I can't do that anymore, and I can't fight these top-level guys anymore, then I'll just retire. I won't carry on beating up people who aren't as good as me, because that's not fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, you have a brand to protect, obviously, but I think I've done all the work for that, I believe. I've already got my brand there, and all the stuff that I teach, I've proved that it can work in top level, because I put the video next to it and stuff, and I'll keep adapting myself and as a coach as I get on, and yeah, I think I am a brand, yeah, and I do look at myself as a brand, and I think that I have built it into something that I can be proud of, really.
Yeah, I definitely think you should be proud of it. You spent a lot of time. You did the hard yards for sure. You know, being out here in Thailand is not easy. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people don't do it. You know, I also think, you know, part of your brand, if you will, is taking the hard fights and not necessarily protecting yourself all the time.
Yeah, of course. You have to do it. Like I said, I could go on like a 15, 20 fight winning spree now if I just like went around Europe and fought young up and coming fighters who want to make a name for themselves, because I'm experienced to beat them, and I probably won't even get touched in most of the fights, like Sanchez. But I don't want to do that. I want to still go to war. I want to still entertain the fans. I want to still like get in there top level, and I've still got my own goals as a fighter that I've put out in front of everything else. Everything I'm in it, my goals are still as a fighter at number one. It's just a shit get any fucking fights because of COVID. But that's going back. That's going out the window at the minute now. We're looking like getting some fights back. And like I say, I should have 3 fights set in there by the end of the year, so that everything else will be put on the back burner and it'll just be all systems go again.
Awesome. Just wrapping things up then, is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
I think we pretty much got on with everything there. Covered everything that I've got going on in my life, really, which is my seminars, my website, my YouTube channel, my clothing brand, etc., etc. And I think I hope, like a lot of other fighters, can take a bit of a blueprint from this and try and make something from it. And I hope it has. If anyone was wondering about how to build yourself as a brand, I hope there was some interesting information here that can help them.
Yeah, I think that's a real takeaway from your career is you've done a very, very good job building yourself in a career where there's been absolutely nothing. So many Muay Thai fighters have not been that successful, but you've been able to do it, and you have avenues after your fight career you can pick up easily and run with.
Your point, the fighter's got a shelf life, and I was always worried in my late 20s. I was thinking, what am I going to do when I retire here? Just hold pads every single day.
Yeah.
My shoulders into absolute smithereens, and then by the time I'm 50, I'm all hunched over and my hands all crippled up and stuff. And I thought there's got to be more to it than this. And then luckily enough, I've been able to come up with some good ideas and get the ball rolling on different stuff, and they've all come to fruition, and it's worked well for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Definitely, I encourage people to follow you on Instagram, Liam Harrison, your training site, liamharrisontraining.com, correct?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, if you want to book you or Andy, both of you maybe, for seminars, you can slide into the DMs.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Liam.
Not a problem, mate. Thank you very much.
So it was really great talking to Liam. He's a super down-to-earth guy. I've met him in person a handful of times. And, what he sounds like is how he is. Definitely has both feet on the ground, and I really appreciate him taking his time out. I think there's some huge takeaways from this interview. The big one I think that, he said is don't be a dick. It's one of the fundamentals of networking and sort of success in life, which I think is really important. What's the point of being a top athlete if you're a total asshole? It's just not a good way to live your life. Personally, I felt like, when I started being more generous with people, when I started being nicer, my career really took off. When I started supporting people more and listening and just being a better person, things just opened up for me. So definitely the networking, the not being a dick, and, the last little bit about having a brand. I think Liam has done a great job creating some strong exits for him, because you never know with a fight career when it's going to end, because you could be injured, you could break your hand, you could break your face, you could break your leg, and all of a sudden, it's done. It's out. So he's created some really smart exit strategies for himself to push him into a further career. So I'm really happy for him, and I think he offers a real blueprint for success for other athletes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, as always, for listening. And once again, if you like this show and if you like the content, it would be great if you could share, leave a review on iTunes, and really support the show and what I'm doing here. If you'd like to reach me, you can follow me on Instagram at Lucas Muay Thai, or email me at a.matt.lucas@gmail.com. As always, this has been On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people.